Play the fight music. Dun, 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 dun.
It's not loaded up. It's going to take me too long to find it.
I know. I was just, I did my rendition or whatever.
Oh,
Real question is, are the 49ers going to throw the fucking ball at George Kittle?
For your bet's sake, sure. For your fantasy sake, I could care less.
But they affect. It's a both of. They affect both in reality. I'm just surprised that he hasn't gotten the ball. Like, if he doesn't get the touchdown, sure. But why isn't he getting the ball, period, is my issue,
I care about you winning your bets. I think that's great. I want all my friends to win bets.
You don't want me to lose this week, though, in fantasy either.
Who you got this week?
JP.
Well, he's not good. You're going to beat him.
Well, here's the issue. My guys are hurt. We play each other next week. And you don't want to face a 1-2 me. Like, that would be an issue. Like, because then we start talking about elimination games already. And I'm not going to be eliminated. I have so much talent that just isn't fucking playing. It's not even funny. Like,
well, here's the thing I got. I got Jameson Williams in the tuck, which creates trade possibilities for me moving later into the season. But we're not going to get into that.
Jameson Williams in comparison to Cooper Kupp and Jonathan Taylor is a crazy comparison.
If Jonathan Taylor plays and plays well.
He is not Le'Veon Bell in this thing. The real question is, are the Dolphins going to step up to the fucking plate and just give up the one so that they can go to the Super Bowl this year? Or is he just going to suck it up and fucking play out the contract? The Colts don't even look that bad. Like, Anthony Richardson, even against the Jaguars, like, they didn't look bad against them. They were in that game. Like he could play with Anthony Richardson, I guess is what I'm saying. It could work in reality.
I agree with you, but Parlay Pete, are you ready to role play?
I am ready to role play. Actually, it's funny enough because I didn't have that in my six pack, but when you were going there for a second, we were just talking about how big the matchups are, and obviously you get Ole Miss at Alabama, and of course we saw that shitstorm literally at South Florida between Alabama and South Florida.
Disgusting.
So now I guess hold on 1 second, Lee. Let me see something here.
Take your time. Hey, I just want to, while he's doing it, I want to give a big shout out and thank you to all the fans who tapped in, told us y'all like this segment because we kind of did it off of a whim. Didn't really think about it being a thing, but y'all definitely turned this into a thing. And I think we're going to keep doing it.
And I don't see why not. And that's exactly why we're going to go ahead and get this thing started off the right way.
I bet you're about to play some audio that you should have sent me.
No, it wasn't going to be. Yeah, it is kind of audio, I guess you could say. But basically, there's a phone call coming in.
Paul Finebaum.
Was that yes, caller? Who is this?
This is Cletus from Lumpkin County, Georgia.
Hey, Cletus, how are you doing today?
Hey, Paul, I'm just happy to be here, man. And let me tell you what. First-time caller, long-time listener.
We appreciate you always listening, Cletus. And you said you're from where, Cletus?
Lumpkin County, Georgia. Go Dogs.
Oh, okay. Go Dogs. So you're a big dog fan.
Yes, sir, Mr. Finebaum. And I'll let you know if you ever make your way to the great state of Georgia, y'all bring your show to Athens. I'll make sure we fuel up to F-150. We get up there, and me and you can meet at the Waffle House, have us a great late night dinner / breakfast after a couple drinks down on town in Athens. I'll spend a night or two down there, Paul. I'll show you the ropes, man. We'll have a good time.
Well, Cletus, we certainly do appreciate any type of Southern hospitality. What is it that you wanted to talk about?
Well, Paul, I got two things. I want to talk about Alabama first. I want to say, Paul, I don't know what they've got going on in Alabama. I see they got the second-ranked quarterback coming in next year. Maybe they bounce back. I don't know. But, Paul, Paul, so last week they played Buckner. Buckner and his boy Tommy Reese from Notre Dame.
Well, it wasn't Buckner. Let's give it a little bit more respect. They played South Florida, an AAC school. It was a monsoon going on. He already had decided that he was going to start another quarterback in the game. But Cletus, go ahead. I didn't mean to step on you like that, but
it's fine, Paul Finebaum. I respect you. I respect your show. I listen every single day, so I know how this thing goes. But Paul, they brought in that boy Buckner, and him and Tommy Reese look like Notre Dame's offense from last year. But somehow that Notre Dame offense is looking good this year without both of them there. And all I'm saying is Nick Saban, he goes to the young boy after Buckner is out there looking like butt, and now he's going back to Milroe. As a Georgia fan, it makes me happy because it lets me know the SEC is ours to take. But I'll tell you what, Paul, Alabama roll tide is no tide, man. It's low tide out there, boy. Ain't nobody getting wet by that water, Paul.
Well, look, Cletus, at the end of the day, Georgia faced a deficit at halftime. I think that was the first time that they faced a double-digit deficit in about 5 or 6 years. So, to kind of come in and start talking about Alabama in the way that they looked, and they look terrible. Don't get it twisted. I mean, Nick Saban is definitely on the doorstep of the Grim Reaper at this point because it looks like that program might be headed down that path. And they do have the number 2 quarterback coming in. That kid slipping my mind. It's kind of irrelevant to this conversation. What we will say is this. Cletus, it was monsoon going on down there in South Florida. They toughed it out. They still won by 2 touchdowns. They held them scoreless outside of the first 3 points that they scored in the game before the weather even began. Do you really blame Nick for wanting to go back to the guy that at least was giving him some sort of results as opposed to, the third-string quarterback coming into the season? I don't blame Nick for that.
I don't blame Nick for going back to Milroe. I blame Saban for not playing that boy. That sophomore, that 5-star he brought in, and not just let him get the reps because obviously he don't believe in Milroe. He definitely don't believe in
Cletus. They've got a big game this week. Everybody's been talking about it. If you look here on the 4-letter network, or if you look on FS1 or any of these other institutions that want to put out football content, he's lost to Jimbo now. He's lost to Kirby. Is Lane next?
Hey, Paul, let me tell you something. I think Lane's next because, I'm a big Greg Maddux, John Smoltz, Tom Glavine fan. But you know what? We had to send Smoltz to the bullpen to become a closer because he couldn't throw that fastball like he used to. We had to let Glavine go to the New York Mets because he wasn't Glavine no more, and we let Maddux go to the Cubs. And all I'm saying is Saban's fastball ain't 98 no more. It more like 92.
Well, Cletus, I think that's a fair comparison, and I love your baseball analogy, and I understand that the Braves are doing pretty well. They better watch out because their bullpen's not looking very good right now. But that's another story for another day.
Paul, we got to phone you.
Cletus, now you're stepping on me, okay? I'm trying to tell you something about your baseball team as a side conversation. We're not talking about the Braves. We're talking about Alabama football, and they've got a game with Ole Miss this week. And I just want to understand why you would care for somebody else to come in a game where they're playing against a ranked opponent in a big game that pretty much decides the season. Why wouldn't you go back to the kid that you know more about?
I'm going to go ahead and tell you, Paul, I just don't think they're good. I don't think they have a good quarterback. And I don't want to talk no more about Alabama football because Alabama football is not going to be relevant this year. I want to talk about my Georgia Bulldogs.
Well, of course you do. Of course you want to talk about it. They've got Trent Dilfer's squad coming in. I mean, that's a really easy conversation. And look, the Dogs have been dominant. But what is there to talk about? They came back against South Carolina. Is anyone in here surprised? I'm not surprised. You're not surprised. Nobody on this network is surprised, and there's going to be no caller that calls in that says that they're surprised. What is it that you want to talk about?
I want to talk about
out of Trent Dilfer and his band of flunkies. I mean, what did you want to get at with your team?
I want to talk about Carson Beck. I want to talk about Carson Beck. I want to talk about Carson Beck because Carson Beck doesn't impress me. And Paul, I'm not no racist or none of that right here. Georgia football. We Sony Michelle.
Nobody assumed that you were a racist, Cletus.
Todd Gurley, Nicholas Chubb. Hey, we're praying for him. We hope he gets back right. No Sean Marino, all that. But we got a white boy playing running back at Georgia. I don't like that. We got Carson Beck playing quarterback at Georgia. And I'll tell you what about Carson Beck, Paul. I know that white boy running back made you laugh, Paul. I can't see your face right now, but I know that's funny for you, Paul. Because I know. Hold on, Paul. Before you go, I know you work for ESPN. You can't say nothing wrong. We don't want to get you in trouble, Paul. So I'll be the guy who says it, but I don't know about it, Paul. But I tell you what, Paul, that Carson Beck, man, I don't care what he was coming out of high school, none of that. Boy, we're not the same without Stetson Bennett, boy. We need to get that boy out of Buford, the boy in the transfer across the country. We got to get him on campus tomorrow because I don't like our chances with Carson Beck because Beck is butt.
Well, Cletus, if we look at Georgia's trend, I'm sure that he'll be on campus in the spring. You'll get to get it up close in person, look at him by the springtime. Now, on Carson Beck and the white running back joke that you just made in there, yeah, I did find it kind of comical because you act like Kirby Smart doesn't get, these top-notch guys every single year. And just because he's a white running back, I mean, did you ever hear about LSU's running back? His name is
Jacob. You talking about Jacob Hester? Jacob Hester was behind a hell of an offensive line. Les Miles and them boys, they were different, boy. He's not no Jacob Hester. This boy won't see the NFL. Jacob Hester had a scholarship, Paul. I don't want to hear that. Let me tell you what, though, Paul. This Georgia Bulldog team is going to be the worst team to ever win a national championship. And, boy, we're going to go 3 in a row, something that Saban never, ever did in his life. And y'all going to be calling Kirby the GOAT soon as January rolls around, Paul. And that's all I got to say, Paul ain't going to cuss on your show, but, Paul, you better get right, boy. You better get on that Bulldog bandwagon.
Right, Cletus, we appreciate the call. We'll go ahead and end the call. We appreciate the call, and it remains to be seen. We'll see what Georgia does.